Hello, I'm going to show you another Swift tutorial. This is in Xcode. We're going to start a new project, and this one's going to all be about buttons, connecting buttons, IBOutlets, IBActions. We're going to start with just a single view application. We'll call it IBOutlets, and we'll put that in the demos here. Okay, and if you've already seen the original Xcode tutorial, then this is the Xcode interface for creating apps for the iPhone, iPad. Over here we'll be interested in the view controller and the storyboard today. So go ahead and navigate to the storyboard first, if you're following along. And let's put some buttons in there. So again, I'm going down here in this corner here, and make sure this circle with the dot in the middle is selected, and just type in button. There's one. Here's another button. Drag a couple buttons in there. 2 buttons should be good. And let's put a label in there too. A label is like a placeholder for text. A button is like a placeholder for text that you can click. So I'm going to double click on here, and I'm going to say change this to I don't know, say something. And then this one will be do something. They can be whatever you want. For now, I'm just going to do that. I'm not going to worry about how they look, but if you want to mess with how they look, then here's the tab here. You can change the colors. You can change the design. You can make them bigger. You can give them background colors, all kinds of stuff. I did make the label a little wide there. Let's just make the text a little bigger. Okay, and then we'll do the same down here. Why not? Just make it bigger. Oh, it's truncating. It's truncating. So what you do is we'll drag it over here, change the width of these buttons so they fill the screen. The other thing you might do is select all, Command A, and then come down here, and this little one that looks like a Star Wars spaceship. Click on that, and nope, that's the wrong one. Sorry, click on the triangle one. And for now, we'll just reset to suggested constraints. And you see that kind of snaps the buttons in, and it'll resize them if you rotate to its best of its ability. You'll eventually have to work with constraints a lot more closely using this Star Wars spaceship one here. But for now, usually a good starting point is just to reset to suggested constraints, and that way Swift will try to make some sense of it. Then if you move things around, see it's orange here now, it's got a problem with that, you can update the constraints or reset them again if you move things around too much. All right, so right now, if we hit a Command R, then we should have our IBOutlets app should launch. And we've got a label up here. Yes? Yep, a label. And some buttons. And the buttons, you can click them. They don't do anything, right? Because they're not connected to the code yet. So let's connect them to the code. Which code? Well, let me just show you that. So it says view controller here, and this is the text. So if I change this to Dave's Awesome VC, view controller, Dave's Awesome VC, and I try to build it, it should crash, I think. It's giving me a hard time, but it's not crashing. So what you got to do then is go back into storyboard here, and now when we select this, instead of view controller, we pull down, and it's going to guess, yep, Dave's Awesome VC. Now they're connected. Now the view controller is this view, and when the view loads, stuff can happen in here. Stuff can happen in here. But in addition, we still don't have our buttons connected. So we want to make some space up here, because this is where we're going to put the buttons. There's these things called outlets. and these things called actions. Actions are pretty obvious. That's when people touch, drag, move, swipe, affect your buttons, an action could happen. Outlets are like placeholders for size, color, background, text. Like you can affect the actual button design or the text that's enclosed in the button or the text that's enclosed. So you can change the objects in here, and here's the actions that happen when you click the objects. Okay, so you can do this in a couple different ways. The first way is you use this assistant editor, the side by side. It's like a split screen kind of thing. See how it gives us two screens here? Well, make one of them your view controller and make the other one the storyboard. So it should look like this. And if it doesn't look like that, and I'm going to give myself a little more space here. If it doesn't look like that immediately, then you can also choose your view controllers here. So this is the view controller Swift, and this one should say storyboard. If it doesn't, you might have to navigate in and make sure it says storyboard and Swift. Then here's the tricky part. You hold down the control key, and I'm not saying that wrong, it's actually control on the Mac, and you click and drag. So that's the left click and drag, and don't put it out here. Actually, you can't put it out here, but inside of your class you drop the end point of that. And now this is outlet is selected, so we're going to call this the say outlet. Sure, why not? Boom, and it drops some code in there for me. And then I'm going to control and drag one more time under this section down here, and I'm going to switch outlet to action. And I'll call this the say action. Now, touch up inside is what most buttons use on the iPhone. That means that if you press the button, nothing happens, but once you lift your finger up, something happens. That way, if you accidentally press the button you didn't mean to, you can slide your finger off of the button and nothing happens. So touch up inside, connect. So here we go. We've got an outlet, we've got an action, and then let's do that for the same thing for this label up here. But for the label, I'm just going to do an outlet because no one's going to be clicking on the label. So I'll call this the label outlet. Those other settings, just leave them default there. Weak. Okay. Now the other way you can create these is, let's go to your Swift code and let's create it just in the code. You can type IBaction func do action. So I'm just making that do action word up, but I'm copying the code up there above because that's the structure it likes to see. Okay, and you'll see when this is all said and done, you'll see a circle here. See how these ones are filled in? But this one's not now. It's not filled in because it's not connected. It's not connected to anything yet. So now when you go back to your storyboard, the way that I usually do this, there's a couple different ways. You can select the button and then go to the side here. You open your inspection panel and then click on this tab, this last tab, and see you've got a lot to choose from. Touch up inside. This is probably a good way to do it. And I'm dragging it over anywhere here. Let go, and you see it gives me two options, say or do. I'm going to click do. Boom, now they're connected. Now the other way you can do it is you can click the whole view and it'll give you a list of all this stuff. So, so you could have gone and clicked this area here with this tab selected, and you see do action is here, and you can just drag it and go boom, and then choose your action, touch up inside, done. Now we have an outlet for say, but we don't have an outlet for do yet. So let's go ahead and make that. We got to go back into our Swift controller. And you can just copy and paste. Change the name to do outlet. And then when it thinks about it a little bit, it should say, oh, wait, this isn't connected. And it should give you an empty circle here. And this one should be filled in. I'm going to click build. Sometimes that wakes it up. Yep, see, it's woken up. Okay, build is Command B. Okay, so now we have an outlet for the do, but we haven't connected it. So we're going to go back into storyboard. And do, you can also use new referencing outlet here. Or you can click the whole scene up here and find the do outlet right here. I find this to be a little bit easier. And drag and drop it over. Okay, now everything should be connected now. So now in our code, let's just prove that point. And in these action areas, I'll just put some print statements for now. Say. And then do. Okay, so what happens is the view is drawn, these buttons are connected, and when we press on say action, it should print out say, do should print out do. Command R to build and run. Say, boom, see it printed down there? Do, bam, it's working. All right, cool. So what can we do with that? Well, we have a label up top, so let's make the label do something cool. So here's an example of outlets. So our label outlet is called label outlet. So I'm going to type label outlet dot text equals something. And then I'll copy this down below for do, and then done. So now, let's see if that works. What should happen is it should change the text of the label outlet into this something. And you see I made it a string, it's in between quotes. Something, done, something, done. Now, when you have outlets, you can also change colors and stuff. So let's see what else we can do there. Label outlets. Let's just type color and see what it gives us. It gives us the background color, the text color, shadow color, tint color. Let's do background color, why not? And the color is going to be called a UI color. Let's make it light gray. Why not? And then it's the same label down here, but instead of light gray, let's make it something else, light text. I don't know what the heck that color is. Something, boom, something, done. Oh, light text must be white. So you see, we are now affecting outlets. We're using outlets to change text and color, and we're using actions to connect buttons up and have them do stuff. I think that's pretty good. That's a good stopping point, really. I mean, we can go on and on, make these buttons do crazy things, but as long as you understand that there's outlets and there's actions, and the outlets affect the buttons and the labels and text boxes and stuff, the design, essentially, of them, how they're drawn on the screen, and the actions are for usually for buttons, for things to happen when you press buttons or drag items. If you got any questions, hit me up on YouTube. My name is David Levy, and subscribe to my channel if you want more of these simple Xcode tutorials. I'll probably be doing some more advanced stuff later, but I'm just going to start out with the basics. And feel free to pause. I know I talk fast sometimes, so pause, rewind, watch these videos again and again, memorize them. You will be quizzed. Have a nice day.